Hey everyone, I'm Megan from Your Accounting Sidekick, and today we are going to walk through the different parts of QuickBooks Online. And so on my screen right now, right away, right, we're going to just jump right into this. We are looking at a QuickBooks Online page. Now, this is the Plus subscription of QuickBooks, and if you watched our other video, we kind of went through the differences between the different subscription programs that are out there. So this is a sample company that is utilized to kind of demonstrate the different parts of QuickBooks Online. And so as you can see here, this shows just kind of the dashboard. So this is what we are referred to as a dashboard. You see that up here. And then this is nice because it kind of gives you like a screenshot of wherever your company is at that point in time. You can also opt to change like some of these options here. Oops. Let me see if this is gonna let me do it. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I don't know what just happened. Okay. I think it's this one. Okay. Okay. So you can change the snapshot. Usually there's a drop down here, but they must have changed that. But you can change it to like this month, this quarter, this year. So like if we looked at this year, we could look at this year for the profit and loss. This year, this last month, year by month, and kind of look at the graph by each month and what the sales look like for that time period. So this is really nice to be able to kind of just take a look and a snapshot at and be able to kind of look at what your numbers are. Now, the only way that you can really do this though is if your QuickBooks is up to date, right? So you want to make sure that your books are for the most part up to date. But we're just going to go through the parts of this today. Excuse me. So this is the dashboard up here with the new menu. This is really going to be, or the plus sign menu, whatever you want to call it. This is where you're going to be able to enter everything transactional. So anything transactionally that needs to happen is going to be located under this new plus sign option. And so we have customers, we have invoices, receiving payments, estimates, if you need to send a credit memo or a refund or do a sales receipt. So the different parts between this, the invoice is something that you are billing out to your client and they're going to pay it later. A sales receipt is something that you get paid for right away. So let's say like I worked a job and I got done with the job and the customer paid me right away. I can enter that in here as a sales receipt, especially if you're more like project or client based, where you want to keep track of each client individually. If you are retail and you have a POS system where you're taking in transactions, but you don't want to put every single one of those customers in your list of customers in QuickBooks, usually you would just have like a generic one if you want to track it that way, or it would just get entered in as a deposit. But we can get into that more later. The expenses side of things, or the vendors, is going to be your expenses, so the money that goes out. So expenses, checks, bills, pay bills, purchase orders, vendor credits, credit card credits, and then you can also print checks out of QuickBooks Online, which is nice. Employees, now if you have payroll, that's a separate add-on service. Generally, I don't recommend Intuit just because of how they pull taxes, but there are some other options out there. So if you need some suggestions, please let me know. But you can also track like activity, so timed activity if you have employees that work for you, or even if you are working on things yourself and you want to make sure you're tracking your own time. This is where you can enter that information in. And then we have other transactions like bank deposits, transfers, journal entries, statements, inventory adjustments, and then like recording a transaction to pay down your credit card. And this is where all this is. So again, this is the transactional information gets entered under here, under the new. This is pretty much where you can find all of that. But anything that has to do with like the settings and that kind of thing is going to be located up here under the gear icon. And as you can see, it gives you a bunch of different options as well. This is also where reconciling and budgeting is located. And then that audit log I had spoke of earlier, this is going to be where it records all of your transactions. So this is where you can find out what each user is kind of doing on your QuickBooks file. Accounts and settings, this is going to be where you have the settings for your actual company. So you can put in the name and the EIN, et cetera, the addresses. Usage has to do with your plan. Typically, most small businesses aren't going to get above this usage primarily, but this is where that information kind of is located. Sales, this is where it's going to have any kind of sales information. So what your invoice terms are, you know, preset to. If you want to have a discount field or a deposit field or a date field. We also have, you know, be able to charge or create multiple invoices from a estimate, what your default sales message is. So when you invoice a client out of QuickBooks, what does it say? You can put that in automatically and then it will save that. So that's kind of a nice feature if you're going to be invoicing out of here. Putting the statement at the bottom of your invoices, messaging to go out with reminders. So this is all the sales related kind of things. And then we have expenses. So this is going to be where you can show, you know, expenses or track expenses and items by customer. And so that's important for like job costing. That's an important feature to have on. And so like you see here, you can turn any of these on or off. So that's something to kind of just keep in mind as well. And then advanced is where you're going to kind of get into what kind of forms you use, if you're going to have account numbers available, if you're going to be able to track classes, what gets kind of pre-filled, services, the date, you know, all those kind of things are going to be in here. So under the gear icon, this is where we have the settings part. And also user. So when you go in and you have a user, you can add in, you know, a different user, but you under accounting firms, this is usually where you would add in like your accountant would be under here. So we have the dashboard. Entering in transactional information is going to be all up here. Settings kind of things is going to be up under this gear icon along with reconciling. That's important to do every month for your credit cards and bank statements. You want to make sure you're doing that. This information on the dashboard can be changed to reflect the way that you want it to reflect, something you can always change around. So yeah, those are the basic features of QuickBooks. Hopefully this was kind of helpful in just kind of getting you acclimated to it. One other kind of cool thing is, you know, like if you're working on it, but you don't want anybody to be able to see the screen, you can turn it off in order for nobody to be able to see it in case they walk into your office or something like that. If you're like trying to enter in invoices, you go back to the page, then that stuff's not up. So that's kind of a side note feature. That's what that's for. It's just to kind of block that data from anybody else to see it in case they're in passing. And then it has lots of tutorials too. So like if you're ever in QuickBooks and you're like, I don't even know what to do, you know, it has experts and then it has help, you know, that has lots and lots of videos in addition to these videos that I'm creating, you know, for it. Sometimes if it's something like I haven't gone to is not available. Otherwise, if there's something you prefer for me to do, that's something that you can certainly do as well. So let me know if you have any questions on this, but that is the basics of the features of QuickBooks. And we'll just kind of dig into this a little bit more in the next few days. All right, see you later. Bye.